Happy Friday, folks. It is Friday, June 5th, 2020, and this is episode 3 of the Uraine Ordonez 5 Diamond Group podcast. Welcome, Isaac.
Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody had a good week. Now that everything's reopening.
Everything is finally open as of yesterday. As they said, I guess yesterday we had the pretty awesome draw of activity here downtown. Did you happen to see the Bellagio fountains?
Yeah, the iconic Bellagio fountains were working as they have been for the past, 15, 20 years?
Yes. Starting off their first show with Viva Las Vegas, most appropriately.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right? Well, it's Friday, June 5th. And in case you didn't know, a little coffee with my Joe.
Check out my coffee. Today's Good Morning is sponsored by coffee.
Yes. And nothing goes better with coffee than a nice French curler donut for Donut Day.
Where's my donut?
It's right here, buddy. Yeah, come on over.
Let me get my mask on.
Yeah, man. National Donut Day. And apparently today is also National Veggie Burger Day. You're supposed to end the day with a veggie burger, but I'm going to do a protest on that one. So I'm passing.
Yep. Yeah, Donut Day, Veggie Burger Day.
Yeah, right?
I'm gonna pass on that one for sure. Although I've heard they're not that bad, but
okay. Impossible Burger? Tried it? Yeah or nay?
No, I haven't tried it now.
I will not say whether I have or I haven't, but I heard that it's surprisingly tasty. So.
Yeah, I've heard it's definitely one of the better ones.
Yes.
I just don't know if I'm willing to try it. Not just not yet, at least.
Well, let's do it on a dare. Yeah. Sure, if you drink enough, it might be good, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, man. No.
All right. So here's a pop question. This just popped in my head. Where has been the most amazing burger you've ever had?
Oh, man.
Like something that's just memorable. It doesn't have to be like special, just like the experience or whatever you had, that taste, that moment. Where or what was it?
You know what? I'm a big fan of like when they use different types of meat. Like it doesn't have to be beef. So I really, really like Yard House's lamb burger.
Lamb burger.
Yeah, and so lamb is like, high in fat, and so it's like you got this like greasiness and this juiciness, but it's all natural, so it's
super soft, I would imagine.
Super tender, yeah. So it's just really flavorful. Now I want one, thanks. But that's probably one of the best burgers that I've had, just because it's not your typical beef burger. But I've been wanting to go to the burger by Gordon Ramsay because
Why? Just because it's Gordon Ramsay?
I'm a fan of what he does. Like I like
he's great. Absolutely.
His freshness and his quality.
Have you ever tried Fuku Burger?
I believe I tried with you once. Remember, we were somewhere. There was a Fuku truck.
Hey, watch your language. Hey.
And so, but they were out. I think
they were a local favorite. Yes.
Yeah.
So shout out to our local Fuku Burger joints. Yeah, man. Well, personally, the one experience that I remember that really, really stands out for me was we were actually on vacation in Portugal, and there was just a little, what we would call a taco stand, right? But it would be a burger stand, and we just left the district there, and these guys were serving burgers with corn on them, like elote corn on it. And for whatever reason, that night, that experience, that burger, just resounds with me and Gabby, because like it's just one of those burgers that you just like totally wanted and enjoyed every ounce, and you wanted to go back for more. You just enjoyed that moment. But
so was it like a Mexican joint?
Well, we were in Portugal, so it was some sort of Latin flair, but it definitely wasn't Mexican. I just don't know what it was.
You can't compare like foreign food, because foreign food's always gonna be better,
Like I said, it's probably the experience that we were having that day. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's like al pastor, like the traditional Mexican al pastor tacos. A lot of people don't know that the origin is from, the Middle East.
Mm.
And so obviously when you go to,
Oh, al pastor is the one on the rack.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
that's
Like the gyro type thing, right?
yeah, what is it? Not Arab, not it's like
Greek.
Greek. No, it's like Turkish.
Uh huh.
Anyways, so obviously when you go somewhere like that and you try the authentic one, it's gonna be just something
Different. Yeah.
completely different. It's like tacos from here to tacos from, like, the best tacos I've ever had, Mexico City, hands down.
Mm.
So you can't beat, those kind of like places.
Yeah. All
I
right.
was talking
Fine.
locally. I was talking
Okay. So locally, then let's go. I
like Burger
definitely like
King,
Fuku Burger was it was really good. No, man.
that Impossible
No
Burger.
BK. Yeah. No. Um. There's my California speak. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Um. Oh. Speaking of speaking of out of the country, for some reason I'm getting someone looks like from area code 20. Yeah, locally Fuku Burger was man, amazing. What was the other one? And then the what was the other one? Well, I mean, I've always been a fan of Red Robin's burgers, like especially their fries because
Endless fries.
Yeah, steak
Yeah.
fries, honey mustard sauce. Too good, too good. Well, brother, it is Friday. Our weather warning is wrapping up. Finally, topping out at 100 degrees today, which is cooler than what we've been dealing with. And we're going to get down to what, 90, 85 on Monday.
Whoa.
That's what it looks like. So
It's going to be cold.
Yeah. Break out those sweaters.
Yeah. Wait, this is Vegas, not California. I was on my way to California. They're like, it's cold. You bring a sweater. And so I took a sweater and it's like, mid 80s. And I'm just like, it's nice.
Yeah, it is, man.
Yeah.
Well, that just means you got to be prepared when you go out to show property, man. Don't dress too warm.
Never.
And so we've got some new showing protocols that we do when we're going to show property with clients. Want to elaborate on that there?
Yeah, we're just following the guidelines, the CDC guidelines, wearing our masks. Bought a box of masks, disposable masks. I usually carry a little plastic bag, so if they don't want to take it with them, we can dispose of it properly. Not on the floor, not on the streets. That's just disgusting. And rude, absolutely. So, and I do carry some gloves as well if somebody is looking for extra protection. And I got the natural gloves.
Not going there. I'm not going there.
But and then I'll also carry some hand sanitizer, of course. So.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Actually, let me show you.
This 30-second break is brought to you by the 5 Diamond.
They must be in the car, but got these little hand sanitizer solutions. They're actually concentrated, so you pour a little bit of water in your hands, and you dab a little bit of this solution on there, and it becomes like your traditional hand sanitizer that you're used to.
I would love to hear that particular sentence used with my sons. Specifically, I would like you to say to Jacques, I'm going to dab a little bit of this antibacterial solution on you and see what his response would be. Because this generation, when they hear the word dab, has a completely different context.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. What's a synonym for? What's a synonym for dab?
Yeah, no.
Or onto.
Yeah. Here, let me just give you a little bit of there.
Yeah.
That their stuff, that solution. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so
Well, speaking of generations, this week's national, international news, we're not going to go into it. Everybody, if you haven't already heard the news, things are, sounds like they're calming down finally, which is great. And there's a lot of movement in the direction to help support a lot of the changes that people are needing and wanting,
mhm.
which is great. But generationally speaking, it's just interesting to see how there is, in order to get growth in a specific area, period, doesn't matter if it's social or economic or technological, just growth.
Right.
It requires a certain amount of information and education and patience and love, really, at the end of the day, because it all boils down to that. And so the message, the takeaway for me, and the thing that, whether they're new generation or old generation, at the end of the day, we all have to take responsibility for what we feed our brain with, how we process it, and then also what impact does that bring to the experience we have with everybody else. Because that's, if it's not in the context of love, then what's the objective?
Mhm.
So, you know, continue to grow and learn and show that. And we're starting to see the heat cool off and start moving on to the next stage of that change. So it's good.
Well, and so something I think on our first episode before all this happened, we talked about um, how just being kind and just being thoughtful of your actions and your words make a huge difference regardless of race. And really, race is just where we come from, and that's the beauty of it. We all have our background, and we all have something nice, or part of our culture has something just great
For sure.
about it, right?
Yeah.
And so you've traveled all over the world, and that's one of the things that when you travel, you get to see the different cultures, how everything is different. But something that kind of brought me to mind was when we went to Paris. On my way before we went, one of my coworkers at the time, I was working at the bank. One of my coworkers had told me, she's like, "You're gonna hate Paris. They hate Americans." She's like, "Well, you won't have an issue because you're brown." And so, I don't normally take anything offensive, and I didn't take it offensive, but that stayed with me because I was just like, do I need to go into Paris and say that I'm Mexican rather than say I'm from the US? But I quickly realized that in any culture, in any family, any person wants to be treated with respect and dignity. That's all it is, right? And so once I realized that I learned a little bit of French, just enough to uh, just to understand, or just to be able to communicate, and so just a little bit, just enough to communicate. And so they right away were very receptive to that, and they were like, "Okay, you're at least trying." And so then they were very cordial, and so I didn't have an issue with anybody there. Like, everybody was just very nice and generous. And so it's just, when you treat people with respect, when you treat them with dignity, you're kind to them, you're not obnoxious, or you're not demanding, things change, right? And so it's the same thing, with this whole thing. Just treat people with respect. We all have a cultural background, and embrace that. That's what makes us different, what makes us unique. And then everybody has something to bring to the table, and we all can learn from each other rather than fight against each other and be rude, and unfortunately get out of hand with people. um but where was I going with this?
No,
No.
you hit a key point in the sense of the contribution everybody has to give. Right. There's always something good to look at with people, and so from that perspective, it's like a bouquet of flowers. There's so many different kinds that are out there, and all together we have this beautiful display.
Mhm.
But if you look at each individual one, they have unique differences. Sure, some of them might have little flaws in them, and if you focus on that and be that the issue that you want to make, well then there's really no room to work with. You have to look at the big picture of everything,
And how boring would it be if we were all the same? So,
right.
So
Yeah.
um, my message to everybody is just treat everybody with the same kindness, respect, and dignity that you would want, regardless of race, regardless of your color skin, regardless of where you came from, or your legal status. You treat them. You treat everybody with respect, and they will treat you with the same respect. And I mean, there's always going to be those people that no matter what you do, they're always
Yeah.
going to be.
Yeah.
But those are we can't.
Well, that's what goes back to what I was saying, is that, in order to grow, like some people have this perspective, the only way you get to that perspective of racism or um, prejudice is it's developed. It's reinforced by whatever you think, see, and you choose to listen and think of.
Mhm.
And when you go back and reanalyze that and say, okay, where did I get this from? And is this something that I truly want to project in my life? Well, then, okay, if that's your choice, that's your choice. There's nothing, that's the case. But are the reasons sound for it? No. Is it a contribution to society? No. It's a destructive, divisive manner, and it's not going to do anybody any good. And that's just a change, and it requires some growth to understand why would it be better to have this inclusive, you know, per point of view in that sense.
Mhm.
You just got to keep on reading, keep on learning. Yeah,
Absolutely.
cool.
Knowledge is power.
Potential depends what they do with it.
I was just gonna say that. You read my mind on that. Um, so this month is homeownership month, national,
Homeownership month.
right?
This is what we work for, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our mission is to help you get the right information the first time, to help people get out of renting and own their own home. And at the end of the day, the question is, why are you renting? Is there a reason for it? I mean, if it's because you didn't have a down payment or you didn't have, credit, then let's work on it. Let's find a solution. But at the end, you got to work towards that home ownership goal, because you're going to pay rent. You're going to have a place. Why not put it towards your own future, your own asset that you can keep or give to the family or whatever?
Absolutely. And one of the things I read or saw something yesterday, and another colleague of ours from Texas talked to a 21-year-old on he had no credit, no credit cards, no debt, had a good job with UPS, and as a UPS driver, you make good money. But one of the things that he was
30 minutes.
one of the things that he was saying is like, here, give us 6 months, we'll help you build your credit, and help you buy a house because you make enough money to buy a house. So
Mm-hmm.
so to all the millennials, all the people that are, all the young kids that are just turning 18, all our 2020 graduates, you can be a homeowner with no money down, and it all takes 6 to 12 months, if that, if you work hard for it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a goal. Rents are expensive in the city of Las Vegas. So
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a couple of years, man. They've been going up because home values have been going up.
right,
When the owner of a property, sees their value go up and local rents go up, well, naturally, you can expect yours to be adjusted in the next 12 to 24 months, depending on what your schedule is.
yeah,
And I like in my community, our same house would go for just about 1850, which blows me away, because if you're gonna spend 1850, man, you can afford a home in Las Vegas, and at the median price point of 300 plus. And so, if there is any shift that needs to happen, it's definitely rent prices. We're gonna see those probably adjust here in the next 12 months, right?
yep. And so why, what would be some good reasons to rent? Let's talk about that.
What is a good reason to rent? You make so much
So
money, you got to write it off. I don't know.
well, I mean, here's one. There's people that work for corporations that travel, and so they might be here 1 or 2 years, and they know that because that's their type of work. So there's no point in purchasing where you're not gonna want to
Stay.
settle down, right?
Right.
And so you might own a home back home where you would want to have and settle down, and it's being rented, and you're making money off that. So
Right.
you would
So
come here.
they're still a homeowner, right?
Correct. You
But they're
still would
renting
want
your
to own a
temporary.
home, but maybe not in Las Vegas, right?
Sure.
And then if you are building your credit,
Okay.
that
Right.
would be the only two reasons that I can think of. The good reasons why you would. Depending on how bad your credit is, well, it might take a year or two to completely fix it and pay down your debt and whatnot.
I know you're not a credit repair expert,
Yeah,
but
correct.
you have worked in the bank arena. For those who don't know, what is bad credit, what is okay, good credit, and what is excellent credit?
So 580 and down, you can't purchase a home. So that's just lending. So if you have a 580 or lower, that means that you probably either have things in collections or you have something, a ton of debt, more than what you can. You're probably only making minimum payments. That's really affecting that. But mostly when you're under the 580, you probably have some type of collection, whether it's medical or some type of credit
Judgment, right?
or judgment. Yeah. So getting with the credit repair agency who can help that out, because they can definitely negotiate with those creditors and get some of those removed, and your score could go up. Between 580 and I would say about 640 is okay credit. It's still poor, but it now gives you the ability to go purchase a home, even though it might mean a higher credit rate, or a higher, you know, down or whatever the case may be. From about 640 to about 720 is when you're in or 700, I would say you're in the decent credit. You're good. 700 and like 760 is really good credit, and then 760 and higher is going to be like excellent, perfect
Excellent
score.
credit. Yep.
And just so that you know, 840 credit score, even though that is a perfect score, that does not mean that you are able to purchase just anything. There's still regulations. But the sweet spot, I would say, is like a 720 and higher. Anything above that, you're going to get prime interest rates. You're going to get into different programs. So if you are in that 720, I see Gabby is watching, so she can definitely comment on this a lot more. But she knows she's our lender. She's our go-to person at our lender's office, and she can definitely reach out and say, "Hey, this is what you need to do or don't need to do."
Yeah. And so when it comes to people hearing about the rate being at 3.1 this week, or the whatever that is, that's considered prime rate. So that's based on a certain formula, and that formula is, generally speaking, someone with a 760, kind of the typical scenario of statistics, certain amount of income, certain amount of debt to income ratio on there. So there's some criteria that goes behind that number, and based on where you are at personally in your financial situation, will determine how your rate is impacted from that point. So that's how the rate schedule generally works in a broad overview.
And there's so many factors, so you have your credit score, you have your debt to income ratio, which is, typically you want to be under, they say 33% is like the sweet spot, the golden, right? So that's where you would want to be, but it can be extended up to 45, even 50%, depending on credit
and your income. Yeah.
And your income, of course. But I would always suggest to be between that, about that 40%. That's where you would want to be. And one of the cool things is a lot of people think the full number. So they think, oh, I owe $30,000. I owe $20,000. It's actually your minimum payment. You add up all your minimum payments, and then you divide that by your total monthly gross income. So what you make before taxes, you divide that by 12 if you're doing your annual, and then you divide that into your minimum payment. So if your minimum payments are $200 and you're making $5,000 a month,
or you got $1 million in debt and it's only $200 payment.
Exactly. That's what they're looking at, because that's what needs to be satisfied on a monthly basis. So a lot of people think, oh, I have way too much debt. I can't afford a home, or I would never get qualified. And then we look and it's like, well, you only owe like $250 a month. And you make, $4,500 a month. So, you're good. oh, just felt like I have a $200,000 or $20,000 car payment. Well, yeah, but you went to Toyota and got 0%.
Right. Yeah. It's good stuff, man.
I can talk about this for hours.
I know. I love
So
being
I'll
able.
stop.
Nah. Well, I mean, that's the whole point of being able to get into that position, that financial position, is so that people can buy, right? And so, jumping into our real estate segment here, our sponsor, this portion of this episode is sponsored by the Five Diamond Group over at EXP Realty. Reach out to Isaac Ordonez or Jared Uraine. Sorry, that was a really, really bad version of your name.
Yeah, you did.
I'll slap myself for that.
I don't know Isaac, but I know Isaac. Don't call him, call me.
Right? Can't even say his own buddy's name right.
Yeah.
Oh man, you got some numbers to share today, or
I do. Let me find where I left them.
so the notes that are coming off of the wire for this week is we're seeing all of the numbers fill in for April, and April is of course the dead center of the COVID-19 experience. And while we did see a drop off in buyers, that we also had very limited inventory. What that translated to and what we expected was higher prices. We saw nationally there was a 5.4 increase of appreciation in April. So that's great, and the forecast is that they expect the prices to drop next year. This past week, what do we got, bud?
So we have 988 new listings that came up for sale as of this morning. 1,075 offers were accepted. So again, we keep seeing this trend. So we have more homes go into contract than actually coming in on the market. So that means that we still have a shortage, and it's typically about 100 homes that we are short. We did see a rise in closing. 647 homes changed ownership, sold. So we're still seeing a shortage of inventory, and that is one of the biggest issues that I'm having with some clients is we're not being able to find their perfect home because there's just not enough options, and that even transfers over to rentals as well.
Right. Our inventory levels in April were 2.8 months, and in the following month in May we had gotten up to 3. I'm sorry, in March we had 2.8. April we had 3 months inventory, and now we dropped back down to 2.8 in May. So it's just showing that we need more listings, and there's a lot of buyer demand out there right now. And now that everybody's back to work, unemployment dropped down to 13%. They didn't expect that from 20 something that they were talking about earlier last week. So to see that many people get back to work, to see the strength of the economy drop back, just reinforces the fact that buyers are still there, and we're still looking at home value appreciation picking right up where we left off.
Debbie Carasosa says, "Hello, Jared. How are you?"
Hello.
And she says, "Wow, a shortage of homes."
Yes, nationally. So Debbie is a family friend, and I'd like to say a shout out to her. Hello. Good to hear from you. She's always a great supporter of our group. And yes,
you,
we definitely have shortage of home, especially here in Las Vegas, but even nationally. The inventory levels are just low, and that's part of the reason why home prices keep going up. So if there were more people that were selling and buying, that would create that transition process, and that would also help kind of stabilize things. Now, the forecast for next year, they're expecting home prices to drop, which means most of the analysts are expecting a lot more inventory to come on the market towards the middle and end of this year. And question is, will it be you?
Troy says, "Hello, gentlemen." Hello, Troy.
Good morning,
You're having
Troy.
a fabulous Friday.
Yeah, man.
Inventory load. Yeah. Inventory shortage, and then inventory. We're gonna have a surplus of inventory, which is gonna cause the prices to drop slightly. Nothing like 2009. So let's
Yeah, get it clear.
I get a lot of calls, and they're like, "No, I don't want to buy yet. I'm gonna wait till next year, and then I'm gonna get, the same house that I'm gonna buy today for 400,000. I'm gonna buy it for 300,000 or even cheaper. That's not necessarily going to be the case. Can you get lucky and find one of those deals? Yeah, but it's probably going to be something where you're going to have to remodel and
severe work. You're going to drop 60 grand just to get it up in the working condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and once you are in that position, you're going to have to do cash. And so, I have a couple friends that are flippers, and they know that they would not be able to buy these properties on a loan unless it's a hard money loan.
Right.
But a typical buyer would not be able to buy that property. It would have to be all cash, and the renovations behind that, it's going to be significant. So you're going to have deep pockets to be able to get this killer deal.
You're right. So if you're thinking about financing any part of it, don't even bother.
Yeah.
Consider what your needs are and what your objectives are for the family, and get something that's going to work best for you in your situation. The cool thing about everybody that has purchased over the last 8, 9, 10 years is that everyone not only fully qualified, but they can afford the house. And if anybody has held their house, bought 3 or 5 years before this date, they absolutely have equity in the home. And so there's plenty of homes out there that have value. That's why sellers are not going to drop their prices down to insane levels, because they're going to maximize as much as they can get based on buyer demand. Buyer demand is strong right now, and the economy is still strong, so people are still going to buy.
Over 50% of over 50% of homeowners have at least 50% equity in their homes. Yes. So they have comfortable payments. They have tons of equity. So worst comes to shove, they can refinance it and probably even get a lower rate.
Yep.
Get a lower monthly. Or they can sell, but they are going to want to maximize that top dollar to be able to make it worth their move. Right. So what are we looking at? As we have more inventory, it's going to create more competition for the sellers, not for the buyers. The buyers are going to benefit from this, but we're not looking at a $50,000 or $75,000 discount. We're looking at maybe 5, 10, depending on the price point too. So I'm going to say about 2 to 5% price decrease that you would be able to negotiate depending on the price point. Obviously, if we're in the million, in condition. Yeah. And so that's where sellers are going to come, or where it's going to be very important for sellers to understand that their home has to be top notch now. If it's dated, if it's got old paint, it's got the dark paint, they're going to have to put a little bit of money into the house or into the home to be able to sell it quicker. Yep. Otherwise, they're not going to get top dollar, and it's going to sit on the market for months.
Yeah, or you're not going to get the price you want.
Exactly.
So just have realistic expectations. That's really, at the end of the day, the story that we hear consistently, is, yes, we have a shortage of inventory. Yes, you can get top dollar, but you do also have to get that deliverable presentation. The buyers are paying top dollar for homes that are in excellent turnkey condition. If there's any work, it is going to be impacted by the price, most likely. So
absolutely.
We just got one accepted a week ago. Probate sale, completely vintage property. I think 20,000 under what I think could be the potential value after you put in a bunch of work. But we had zero competition and got seller contribution. So there's some wins out there. You just got to be patient and look for it. And as a buyer, you can definitely get it.
Patience is the key. So if you need something now, it's going to be a lot harder to find that good deal, that little gem. But if you are in a position to wait, then you can definitely find that.
Cool, man. Well, my friend, that is all I've got. How about you?
That's all I got. So where can they reach us if they have any questions?
Facebook? Where can they reach us? Well, if they're watching on Facebook Live, obviously through Facebook Messenger, we are on all of the social outlets. So Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. We, of course, use WhatsApp for our communications, or iMessage, Hangouts, whatever it is that you've got, we do, because we have been technically forerunners. Let me try that again. We've been forerunners in the technology space for quite a while.
You know, it's before we go, one of the things that we were talking about a couple of days ago is Jared used to try to push these
Oh, there we go.
QR codes like 2-3 years ago, right?
Mhm.
And
No. Hold on. Let me give you a quick backstory on QR codes. I've been talking about QR codes since 2011, but go ahead.
well, about 2 years ago, Jared was like, "We need to get these QR codes, and we just stick them everywhere." And I'm just like, Jared, nobody's gonna
Nobody
want to
wants
do
QR
these
codes.
QR codes.
Nobody
And
wants
this
them.
was back when like iPhone, or when most phones didn't have like integrated QR reader. So you always had to download a third-party app, and I was like, that means that people have to download a third-party app, and then they, have to learn how to use it. And some of these things are ugly, and like their, interface, and I was just like, nobody's gonna want to do it. Now, like you walk in anywhere, restaurants, stores, and they're like, scan the QR code for, to download the app or to download the menu, or even pay. Shout out to our friend from Makers and Finders. Cool thing, they've integrated through a clever system. You get the receipt, you scan the receipt through the QR code, and then you can just Apple Pay your receipt, saving you time because sometimes you're in a rush and the servers are tied up with other customers. So shout out to Makers and Finders for that. But because that's the only place I've seen it, and I know that others can integrate it the same. But
Easy. Yeah.
they're on top of their game, which I love.
They are.
But anyway, so we've definitely been doing the whole tech thing. So all social media platforms includes showings. If you guys want to stay at home, don't want to come out, we can definitely go out and do a tour of the
Do a
home.
virtual showing. That's something I did want to advertise a little bit further. Because of new showing protocols, because we want to be in compliance with CDC, and there's a lot of people who are concerned about catching the virus or spreading it if they've got it, is virtual showings something that's available. I've been doing some version of that for several years. I've had two of my clients purchase without physically being in the property, because we've gone through so many versions of seeing it in many different ways. How is that done? If you needed to be at home, well, if you've got a computer and you're online with a web camera, or even on your mobile phone, we can do a live stream like we're doing here, get you to walk through the property with us walking you through and describing everything, and you can go and take a close look at whatever it is you want. The cool thing is you're asking questions along the way, so it's just like you being there and doing that. Of course, most websites will offer your photos and some version of a virtual walkthrough, but having someone feet on the street in there, being able to just get into the nook and crannies and really feel out that floor plan, really is a powerful tool that you can use to your advantage, and we can work that whichever way is comfortable for you on that.
I just added our phone numbers down here at the bottom corners. You'll see mine down there. You'll see Jared's down there. So you can always text us, give us a call. We're available for any questions. And there was one other thing that I wanted to mention before. Oh, yeah. Our YouTube channel. Check out our YouTube channel at Five Diamond Group. We have some cool properties that we're showcasing. We just toured 2 yesterday. I toured one at the beginning of the week. Toll Brothers, it's already posted on there, but we'll be bringing to you some cool homes here in Las Vegas.
And more information about the area, because a lot of people hear about Vegas. A lot of people only know Vegas by way of the Strip. We've got 2.3 million people here now, and
Crazy.
So many different pockets of town. We've got, like, everybody knows Summerlin, everybody knows Henderson, but what's in between, and getting in between those nooks and crannies is really what we're about, as far as helping you understand all of your options that you have available to you, because Vegas is pretty cool at the end of the day. So.
Absolutely. You have other beautiful places outside of those two areas. So, so our goal to you is to provide to you as much information as possible. So when you are ready to buy or sell, you have the right information, so you can make the best decision for both you and your family.
Right,
what
guys?
You're saying, Jared?
The right information the first time.
Exactly. I couldn't say it as good as Jared. So
Well, folks, that wraps up this episode 3 of the Uraine Ordonez 5 Diamond Group at EXP Realty podcast. Thank you for joining us. We certainly thank you for your contributions, Debbie and Troy. We look forward to future episodes where we get more interaction, more questions. If you do have questions, feel free to drop them in the DM or any other question box. We'd love to be able to answer those for you. You can reach Isaac at area code 702-706-3774 or me at 702-714-0686. Thank you, folks. Make it a wonderful weekend.
Enjoy your weekend, guys. See you guys next Friday.